Hello again and welcome to another video. Glad you're with me today and I hope you've been well since the last video I did, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I hope you enjoy this one. Anyway, as mentioned, this previous weekend was my birthday and I got some cash, so I spent some money on some railway related items, and here is another item that I received in the post yesterday, and I can't wait to show you this one. It's an absolute cracker. So let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy this one. Look at this. That is a Hornby schools class, and that is R257 Dover. And it's a margate made model. And as you can see, the box is in not too bad a condition. I've had to tape up one end because this was a bit loose. On the other end there isn't a flap, but it doesn't matter. The storage box is half decent, and as you can see, that's really retro. Anyway, I'll just pause this, enough time for you to get yourself a snack or some drinks or whatever you need to do, and I'll come back and we'll do the unboxing and reveal. So stay tuned and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. So as you can see, we've got it out of the box. There's a nice printed display card, which is quite a thick material. Back in the day they used to use. It's a nice colour shot of the loco, and obviously this was a little diorama they had set up in the factory, or a little studio where they took the picture, because every single catalogue item from the late 70s to early 80s had that kind of background in, so you can only assume it was a section of track or a little diorama they'd made just to place their rolling stock and stuff on, to take the necessary posable photographs. But that's a nice shot there of the model inside. And what I like about it is, with this kind of display, I'm not into displays by the way, but what I will credit is that at the time of manufacture, or that period of manufacturing from Hornby, all their models were exactly as described on the photographs on the front or the labelling on the box. It didn't differ. Some items you buy these days, you look at the front of the packaging and it's completely different on the inside, or it doesn't match the photo, but this one does. Anyway, it says on the label here, it says authentic 00 scale model, British Railways School Class V Dover. So it's a V class, it's the schools. And it says with vacuum pipes. So let's dig in and have a look what we get inside. So the first thing we get is this nice retro instruction leaflet, which I love. This is when you know you get a margate model, when you get this with it. Nowadays the instructions are much more smaller and paper thin, but this was like a wad of paper you get with it. I'm not going to go into detail about the instruction details because it's sort of self-explanatory, but this is what we came to look at as well. Look up here, guys. Reading from left to right, the reference number is R257, which is the catalogue number. The 28th being the day, and the 3rd it being the month. So the 28th of March, and the year is 1983. So that's really, really, really old. Well, not, it is old for me. That's definitely a really interesting little piece of information there. Anyway, enough waffling, let's dig into the box, eh? Look at this. Oh, look at that. Isn't that superb? If I get this out the box, we can show you exactly what we have. So I switched hands, it's easy to do with my left hand. And in here, as promised, as it said in the box, there's the vacuum pipes that will fit on the tender and the front of the loco. Pop that over there like that. But look, I'll bring the camera down here so we can have a proper look at this beauty. Look at this. Isn't she lovely? One of the things that caught my eye about this particular model is the coal load on top of the tender. It's actually very realistic. You don't need to do anything with that. It's just as it is, and it's going to be as it is. because it's quite a large amount of coal that's been put on there, and it's very realistic, as mentioned. So let's go back to the front of the engine, smoke box end, and have a little look and see what we've got. So as you can see, the first thing off the back is these smoke deflectors either side of the smoke box, which is nice. The number on the front, which is 30911, which is the running number. A little bit faded there, but it doesn't matter too much because, again, that can be simulated as dirt in real life, as on the full-size machine, but that's okay. That's nothing to grumble about too much. The handrail on the front there is a little bit grubby. Again, that can be gone over with an emery cloth, some lighter fluid, clean that up okay. If I really want to be finicky, I could actually repaint that with some silver paint, but I think I'm going to leave that as it is. I like that as it is. The buffers on the front are intact. They're not sprung because sprung buffers weren't brought out at that particular period of manufacturing Hornby. It's got the old style D coupling on the front, which I love, and that's removable with a screw underneath there. If we lift it up there like that, you'll see a raised screw head. You can basically unscrew that and take that off the front should you want to replace it or remove it completely for the purpose of display or running. What I did notice about this loco on the front was the two whistles on the front just before the chimney there. Those are nice little separate items. I didn't realise that the schools classes had actually two whistles on the front there. That's something I've looked and researched at from real life photographs of a schools class Southern Region engine, because these are Southern Region machines, and it's got the raised lip profile on the chimney. If we look at that directly head on from that shot on the camera, you can make out there's a raised lip on top of the chimney, and there were some examples of the schools classes with that raised lip on there. So again, Hornby had done their research as always. They don't add things purely for the fun of it or to make believe. It's all done from real life research. Even today's models that are done from photographs and people actually going down to seeing the full size machine or item they're modelling. I know really quickly there was a Hornby series that was on the TV over here a while back, and they wanted to get the dimensions for Winston Churchill's funeral coach, and they actually had to go down and measure up. The guy in the drawing office to get a CAD design on the computer actually went down to the full size thing and measured up with a tape measure the dimensions, and then worked it all out on a computer for 00 scale. So that's pretty much what they used to do, or still do to these days. But back in 1983, when they designed this particular loco, the schools class, they did everything from photographs and they got everything right. So 10 out of 10 for that. The paint finish for a 1983 model is absolutely crisp and perfect. Again, this is all applied by hand, not done in mass. Well, it's mass produced, obviously, with some machining with the paint, but little items that are finished on here are all done by hand in the factory at Margate. This nice reversing lever, which is the big shiny piece of metal work that goes just past the slide bar on top of the chassis, runs along behind the nameplate and then up to the cab. That long silver bar thing, that's the reversing lever. Which also governs the expansion link on the con rods and the drive, so that the fireman, or the driver should I say, my mistake, the driver would adjust the cut-off on the engine. Obviously the engine's going up a hill, you add a little bit more forward. If you're on a gradient, or you're going going downwards or on a level, you can ease the cut-off back in reverse so you don't use as much steam. And the idea behind that is, in real life on a steam loco, is that you always use the most and maximum efficiency of steam. So if you're running on a straight level bit of track, or you're running down a gradient, you don't have the loco in full forward gear on the reverser. You have it about maybe 65% cut off, not 75. and use more steam efficiently. But that's what that big long silver rod does. It allows travel between the valves to use the steam more efficiently. That's the reversing rod. Long explanation for a simple bit of modelling on the loco there. But again, I might be waffling on, but people at home, you can see that Hornby go to a lot of detail to research for a model, and this model I'm going to highlight is no exception. It's just really well done. Up near the cab, you've got some nice pipe work that's actually separately fitted that goes over the boiler onto the running plate, which is nice. You've got those nice raised washout plugs on the top part of the boiler there. Safety valves are separately fitted, that's nice. The handrails that go along the side of the boiler from cab to smoke box end. Again, these large deflectors, these smoke deflectors, typical of southern machines. You turn it over, turn it round should I say. It's the same on that side. It's a nice smooth mechanism as well. Everything, there's not a scratch on this model, it's lovely. That is just from the polystyrene there. But look at that, really nice. And if we look in the cab, there's a little bit of highlighted detail there, as you can see from that shot there. They haven't done much in terms of painting finish, but they've done a little bit in there to give the eye some relief, like those gauges they've painted white, silver on the regulator there, and also there's a little bit of raised detail there, and there is ample space there to sit your fireman on the left hand side, and sorry, driver, get it right today, the driver on the left hand side, fireman on the right, unless it's a Western engine, because Western engines are right-handers. But most British Railway steam locomotives, the driver always sits on the left hand side. And that's true with any electric unit or diesel train in this country as well. It's all left, always sit on the left hand side. Which is very strange, because in America it's the opposite side, I believe. But yeah, it's a lovely engine, as you can see. I'm very happy with that. Let's just put it on its side very carefully. And look at these wheels. Again, it's never been run. Beautiful condition underneath. It's a lovely, lovely model, but it's in absolutely spanking brand new condition. Look at these wheels. They've never been run or used. Look at that. Beautiful. And the mechanism is very silky smooth. Very silky smooth. And I've got it on its side, so it's catching on the table. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Very, very smooth. What is there else to say about this model, apart from it feels so silky smooth? It really is a nice model, running wise. I haven't run it actually on my layout at the moment. That will be another day's video, but I just wanted to get this one up today to show you. The tender, let's talk about the tender then for a second. Again, the paint finish on this beautiful tender, and it is a beautiful tender, is immaculate. They've got all the British Railways lining around the side there. The decals on there are perfect, spot on. The tender steps on the rear and the front of the tender on both sides are correct. Looking at where the full plate would go, that's nice. Again, it's a lovely tender. I've got some tenders in my collection with my steam locos that are tender driven or just loco driven, but this is definitely one of the top 10 tenders I think I've in my collection now. It's just a lovely tender. I know I should say the whole loco's a lovely item, but this tender has caught my eye. It really is a nice, and you can see why. You've got this little raised detail on the water filling cap, where the water crane would go in there with the hose, leather bag would go in there, fireman would fill up. There's even little hinges on there, look at that. And look at the rivet detail on the bottom of the filling cap. That's really lovely. If you can look at a model, guys, with the eye, your human eye, and it can be fooled into thinking it moves or it lifts up or something mechanically is going to happen, but it's just really a model, you've achieved the effect. And I think that is a classic example of that. Again, the coal load on top is just really what's caught my eye on this model. It's a very eye-catching tender in general, I think. It's got handrails on the side there. They're moulded, they're not wire, but they are reasonably nice on there. The step plates there and the lamp iron brackets are nice. Again, the buffers are not sprung. It's got the standard Hornby coupling on the back. On the left-hand side by the buffer there, you've got a small hole. Those are for vacuum pipes. I'm not going to take this tender cover off because it does clip off with some difficulty because it's quite a tight fit. And again, being a brand new model, which I'm definitely putting 99% surety on, this is a model that has never ever been run. It might have been tested, but it's never actually done any running. It's spanking brand new. Again, if we look at the tender underneath there, let me switch it round. See that lovely word on there, made in Great Britain. Look at that, beautiful. And it says Hornby on the bottom there. A little bit of scuff in there, but other than that, that's in very good condition. The traction tyres, one there and one at the end there, they're in good condition. And everything looks proportionate. Yes, lovely. So that is a good tender, and I guarantee that when I lift that cover off at some point and put a little drop of grease and some oil in that to check everything over, and I'm going to lube up the com rods and the axles, the slide bar, the front ponies, which are the front wheels on the loco. Everything will be lubed up and oiled, just a little tiny drop of oil. That will be a very nice runner in addition to my collection. It's probably going to be a nice runner as it is now, as I'm showing you this now. It will work lovely. But as with any new model, just before I go, I will say one thing, that with models like this that you buy off the internet, even though they're in great condition, they look great and they will run great. The thing is, the factory lubrication has long since worn out, and I can tell that by looking at it, that it's definitely, it needs an oil. And that happens with any locos that you got in storage for a long time. Sometimes the oil can dissipate, it can dry out. So the golden rule is of model railway locomotives is to keep obviously your track clean and keep the wheels clean, the pickup wipers on the contacting wheels, whether it's a small tank engine or something like this or a bigger engine, make sure the wipers are clean, track's clean, the rims of the wheels that make contact with the track electrically are clean, and lubrication. Because sometimes people forget to do lubrication. They've done everything else, they've got shiny track, they go around it a million times with a track rubber, the wheels are clean, they've cleaned the back of the contacts, the motor inside the loco is in good condition, but they haven't lubed it. And non-lubrication on a loco that gets used regularly can actually do a lot of damage. So, like the real thing. I always say it's like this, guys and girls. Doesn't matter how many years you've been in the hobby. I've been in this hobby since I was 11 years old. I'm now 49, so quite a long time. But there's things that I learn every day, and if I can pass on something every time I do a video, if I can pass on a little tip to you that you can take away and remember to do on your setup at home, that's job done for me, because it's free advice, but it's also advice I'm passing on. and that is, with a steam loco, it's like owning a full-size thing, like owning a real steam engine, only in miniature. People say, well, that's an eccentric view, it's a model, it's a toy train. Wrong, it's not. It's a scaled down model of something that mechanically and engineering wise is accurate and performs the same principle as a full-size machine of its prototype. What you do, in other words, is before you run your loco on your layout, check the oil. Go round and check the loco. Anything on the loco that shouldn't be there, that's damaged, or any kind of wear or tear, a loose screw, something like that screw, for example, on that crank, that centre wheel, that screw is currently set at about 1 o'clock. Now, if that was maybe a different position and you felt that and it was loose, you'd know the screw had worked loose, obviously, and you tighten it up, things like that. Checking that there's no bends or damage or out of alignment with the cranks. Your wheels are okay, nothing's loose, nothing's broken off, everything is where it should be, and lubrication again. So I'm not going to physically show you where or how I'm going to lube up, but what I'll do, I'll use my little bit of cardia that came with the box just to quickly show you that if I was going to oil this up now for running, I'd put a dab of oil behind there, one there, and a dab on there, a dab there, a little dab there, tiny dab there, tiny dab there, a little bit on the slide bar there, and obviously behind that axle, behind that axle, behind that axle, behind that axle, and repeat the same on the other side. And obviously on the tender, I would internally lube up the motor, but also on the outside, sometimes you can forget, dab, 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 and dab. It's an awful lot of dabs, but it is important. And that is that. But yeah, when you take your locos out the box, even with diesels, like modern image locos, don't forget, once, I'd say every 6 months, have a little look at your locos. I mean, you check them every time you run them on the layout, obviously, like I've said. But in terms of lubrication, a really quick tip also before I disappear is to check your locos, be it steam or diesel, every 6 months for oil. If you can take your finger on, say, the crank bearing like that, and you wipe it gently with the tip of your finger and it comes away a nasty black colour, that means there's too much oil. There's oil there, but it's too much. So you just get a cotton bud, take it off, and remove the excess, for example. If you obviously put your finger there and you can feel and see there's no oil, well, there's your answer. You need to put some oil there. But don't over oil is the key as well. It's little and often, like firing a loco, little and often, and that's all you need to do with the lubrication thing. I'm saying this because there's a lot of young people maybe watching this video, checking it out, and maybe they're just starting out in the hobby, or it might be yourself that's just got back into the hobby. Just a general engineman's tips, basically. Look after your engines, lube them up as and when, and give them a little once over before you run them on the layout. Because it can happen, you can have a running session with a loco and it runs into the siding or into a storage place on the layout, it gets left there until next time, or it gets put back in the box, and something has maybe come loose. And it's happened to me before where I've had a loco running around and I've heard that frightening sound of a click, 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 and it's come to a grinding halt, and there's a com rod that's worked loose, and then you have to go and learn the new colourful language because the com rod washer has fallen off somewhere around the layout. It's tiny entirety and you've got to go and find it. So just go around your loco and treat it like it's a real, treat it like you've come on shed for the day, and you're going to book this loco out to take it out on whatever duty it's going to do. And like a real driver, you've got to go around the engine piece by piece, examine it and look at it before you consider running it. As simple as that. Bosh. Anyway, with that, I'm going to enjoy my nice glass of ice cold lemonade, because Yoda says it's time to have a nice lemonade because it's hot. And I'll see you in the next video, and I've got some crackers to show you in the next ones. Again, I'm not going to tell you, but you want to have a look at what's coming next, because they are definitely worth doing the video. I'll give you a clue. They are retro. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and have yourselves a good day. All the best.